I'm so happy to be chatting with you.
Thank you. I'm getting all adjusted.
Yeah, I know. These are kind of, these are not really fashion police couches, but they're...
Oh, well, like, they're not very comfortable. I always sit there, because they make you want to do this, our couches.
We're going to stand
So we're
up
always
straight.
trying to
We're getting,
remember to
we're
sit
getting
up
Oscar
straight.
ready.
Hey, yes.
We're in the home stretch.
We are.
I can't I was just saying backstage, I can't believe you're making these rounds. I feel like I would be locked up in my house preparing mentally for the next 3 days.
No, at this point, I've done it enough times that you just kind of go. I mean, you're just used to it.
Yeah.
So right before the day of the Globes, actually, I was with my son at a lacrosse tournament in San Diego. So like Globes morning, I got up and drove back.
It's amazing,
so he's
like the behind the scenes stuff.
Well, again, you've been doing it for so many years that you sort of know what you need to do.
Yeah, can you take us through kind of the day of the Oscars and then into the next day? For Fashion Police, when is the first time you say, we got to talk about that dress? What's the first movement on that?
Well, I think what people don't realize is we can't put the show together until the red carpet starts.
Right.
So, Juliana's on the red carpet. Brad's usually on the red carpet, or floating somewhere nearby. Margaret's doing Margaret thing. Mm-hmm. And Nene usually gets invited to a bunch of the parties and actually gets to go. I, on the other hand, the very glamorous part of the job, I go to the office and sit with the writers and the producers, and we sit in a big conference room and have a couple different monitors and start flipping through, and we have a big giant whiteboard.
Right.
And we start writing everything down and taking notes, and then as soon as the actual telecast of the awards start, we start breaking down our show.
It's crazy.
And because we tape it 7:30 the next morning.
Oh my God,
So we crash the whole
Are you
show
up all
overnight.
night?
The editors are. I usually leave the office probably around 7:30 or 8 LA time.
Okay.
Go home. First pass of the script comes in. The first pass of the pictures come in. And I try and cut myself off at like 11.
Right.
Because I actually have to be in the shower at 3:45.
Whew, I'm tired just thinking about it.
Exactly.
I've always wanted to ask you, I mean, obviously the feel on Fashion Police is honesty and humor and kind of not holding back, right?
Correct.
I think it's been like that since it started.
Yes.
But what do you do when you see someone, when you used to be on the red carpet, when you see someone and you're like, holy cow, I hate that dress. But you have to kind of wait and hold it back until you're no longer with that person. What is that thought process like?
The thought process is, oh dear God, whatever I do, don't mention the dress now. Or you say, you find something and say, oh, the construction is quite something. Or, oh, the color is interesting. Or you say, how'd you make that choice?
Right. I think
you do very sort of careful questions.
It's so
and every
interesting.
now and again, though, and it's happened to Juliana, where she'll just blurt out like, "Oh, you look great," and then she goes back and looks at it and was like,
right. It's so interesting because now I think people wait often to watch Fashion Police the next day, and a lot of what people look for during these award shows is the fashion. So I think it's just funny when you're not going to see someone say, "Man, that's a really awful dress."
Well, you don't want to say to someone on the carpet, "Damn, did you not have a full-length mirror? You look like shit." You don't want to ruin their night before they walk in.
Right. And also I think it's interesting that things often look different when you're on the red carpet than they do in photos or even on television.
And
so
that's
part
always
of it.
fascinating, where you'll be like, someone will be like, "That looked amazing in person," and then you look at the picture and you're like, "Didn't photograph well."
Yeah.
And often we'll talk about that because we always used to debate, especially my mom, do you dress to look great in person, or do you dress to look great in the photos?
I don't know. Why can't we just look good?
Because it just
everywhere.
doesn't work that way.
It does. I would say that we're looking pretty good today, personally.
Personally, yes. But a lot of dresses photograph very differently. And there's been times where you've seen something on the carpet and you're like, that is awful. And you look at the photos and you go, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Right. It's just kind of like
and vice versa. There'll be things that you see on the carpet and go, oh my God, stunning. And then you see it photographed and it's like, it looks thick or it looks this or,
yeah.
Which is why the good ones take many, many photos of themselves ahead of time to make sure they know what they're doing.
Right, exactly. Which is what I do when I go on a date, usually.
Oh, yeah, me
Lots
too.
of Polaroids.
I'm lucky if I remember to look in the mirror on the way out the door because I'm usually late.
Speaking of late, I have a few
late.
questions about, a few more questions about the Oscars, obviously.
Okay.
But I don't know if you guys follow Melissa on Instagram, but she just posted a really funny and kind of telling shot a video
Yes.
of a brand new Louis Vuitton bag
Yes.
that I saw backstage and is gorgeous.
Thank you.
That you got as an apology gift. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I have an amazing boyfriend. We've been together 2.5 years, and he's a very typical guy
Okay.
in the sense of, for work, he can be wherever he needs to be on time. You put him with his friends, and apparently the thing on his wrist that I often call a watch that can be glanced
I
at.
don't know if men really understand the concept of a watch.
It becomes just sort of something that's just there and bothersome. And whenever he's out with his friends, it's like, typical guys. They follow like the shiny thing, or let's go here, or let's go there. And I, after 2.5 years of trying to gently and sometimes aggressively say, like, when you say you're going to be home at a certain time, you need to come home like within that 30-minute
General
range.
day, yeah.
And finally, I had it, and I'm like, he did it, and I'm just like, I don't even want to talk to you. He called you, I'm running late. I'm like, I hung up the phone. I'm like, I'm done. And he was going to be very late, and he realized he better throw a piece of meat in the lion's cage to distract the lion if he wanted to survive coming back in the cage.
So he went, even though it was probably going to make him even later.
Oh, no, he was already late.
Okay, so he went and bought it right then.
Yes.
Okay.
It was, one of those things like he said he was going to be home at like 2 and he was meeting his friends for brunch and suddenly it's 5
Right,
and,
of course. Well, to my future boyfriend, wherever you are, I hope that you're watching this because that would work on me too.
Well, like I said, he's learned after 2.5 years, it's cheaper to be on time.
Yeah.
But literally, it's like he felt like he was just like throwing something distracting in the cage.
Yeah. Something shiny.
Something shiny.
Your version of something
exactly.
shiny.
But I was very proud of him.
Yeah. I mean, it's a beautiful bag. You guys should all look at it.
The best is
and
he was looking at what people wrote, and he's like, his mom wrote something about good job, finally getting trained, and he's like, I can't believe my mom did that. I'm like, you got to give.
Yeah, they crack the whip.
Exactly.
I want to go back to Oscars a little bit. You've been pretty vocal about the fact that it's still important to have conversations about fashion on the red carpet. I think, the who are you wearing?
Yes.
You and your mom are both, obviously your mom made that what it is.
Right.
And there's a huge community of people who really care about that. And on the other hand, there are some that think there should be different questions, more intense questions on the red carpet. I just wanted to get your take on why it's still, I mean, I personally watch the red carpet for the fashion, personally.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's still so important to talk about it?
It's twofold. One, of course, I do think that we should be talking about other things. First of all, let's get everything in perspective. We're walking into an award show to pat ourselves on the back.
Right.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, that is not the place, in my opinion, for intense conversation.
Right.
When you're anxious and nervous and you're a nominee, you can barely usually remember your name.
Right.
So to start lobbing political questions at someone, doesn't seem fair, unless it's someone who's been continuously outspoken. And then my big thing with that is most of these women are being paid to wear a lot of these dresses.
Right. And
that's part of your job is to say who it is.
Right. And you're wearing a designer's livelihood in hopes that somebody will see it.
And you've gotten it, you're either getting paid to wear it or you've gotten it for free.
Right. And it's artistry. I mean, these dresses are phenomenal.
Saying, don't ask me, then don't take the dress for free.
Right, right.
I mean, that's just sort of my opinion on it, especially a lot of them are getting paid.
Right.
So your job, I think, and again, I don't know anybody's deals, I haven't read them, is you need to get the words out, like who is giving you this stuff.
And say the designer's name correctly, which I think can be an issue.
Or the jewelry or whatever. And that's why people watch. People forget that the red carpets are fun. Mm-hmm. They're a good time, and especially right now where people are so passionate, including myself, about what's going on. There's a time and a place to do this.
And it's kind of escapism a little bit.
And,
with everything that's
everybody also just wants to take a deep breath.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're kind of alluding to it, but I have kind of a three-parter.
Okay.
A three-part question.
Okay.
You and your mom are both on The Celebrity Apprentice.
Yes.
Way back in the day. Your mom won Celebrity Apprentice, and I'm wondering now what you think your mom would make of our current political climate and what maybe talk a little bit about your time on The Apprentice, and then I have another question, but I think we should get through those two first.
Okay, first, I think my mother would find this time ripe with material. Yes.
Like, give a round of applause for that.
Yeah.
That's like just
and by the way,
imagining
and
that.
on both sides
Right.
of the aisle. There's a lot of crazy going on both sides.
Right.
The Apprentice, I have to tell you, was one of the hardest shows I've ever worked on.
Really?
It is an extremely intense, extremely difficult, extremely hard show. I wouldn't have traded it for the world. I learned a ton about a lot of different things, between work and as a producer, I also stood back every day, at least once a day, and kind of looked around and tried to figure out how they were making the train run. Mm-hmm. So I used it almost as a master class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of watching how Mark Burnett, who's a genius, puts together one of these shows.
Right.
And I'm going to stick with what I've said since the beginning. Whether you love or hate Trump, he has done one phenomenal thing, which is he has gotten the entire country to actually care about what's going on. Mm-hmm. Whether you agree or disagree, he has gotten people engaged.
Right.
And he's also gotten the next generation engaged. I watched my son actually watch the news and have an opinion and all these things. And it's creating this whole next generation of informed voters.
Right.
And whether you agree or disagree.
That's the most important thing, right?
That's actually what democracy is people being aware, going out, voting, having opinions, standing up for stuff, getting involved. And whether you like his policies or not, maybe because he is so polarizing, he has created that next generation.
Right.
And that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I could talk about that stuff all day, but let's segue
move
back.
on. So you have a third
let's move
part to
on.
that.
Yeah. Oh, I did have a third part. Because we're talking about fashion and the idea and the notion of dressing Melania has come up a lot amongst designers. And are they going to dress her? Are they not going to dress her? And I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
You know what? She is a tall, gorgeous woman who is an ex-model. She could wear a hefty bag and she's going to look phenomenal. So I don't think it really...
She'd get the best dress on Fashion Police.
And she wears designer clothes. She can just reach in her closet. Again, I think also it's like she's a gorgeous woman. But what's so fascinating is she is certainly not putting herself out there.
Right.
But every time we've seen her, she's looked great. So...
I agree with you on that.
But again, she's... Professionally, that's what she did. She looked good in clothes.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
She's got training for that.
Exactly. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the new Fashion Police. Your mom is an icon and,
Yes.
is known for many different things. Obviously, Fashion Police is a small part of that. Mm-hmm. But I think kind of purists and loyalists of the show had some qualms about it going on after her death. And I'm wondering why you thought it was so important to continue going on with Fashion Police.
I'd been the executive producer of the show since the beginning, way back. And I just, in my gut, felt that there was more to say. I felt that there was a version that could honor her spirit and the legacy of the show, yet move it forward. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel, and people say, how come? I go, I don't know. I just felt we weren't done.
Right.
Just like my mom wasn't done.
Right.
And that's why I fought to keep going.
What do you think she would make of the show now?
Well, I think she'd be very annoyed that I have bangs right now. And that's pretty much it, if you want my honest opinion. She always hated me with bangs, and I just cut bangs, and I'm sure that was somewhere she's upstairs. Like, I'm surprised, I'm surprised I haven't been, everyone's like, do you feel her around you? I'm like, no, but I haven't really done anything that would piss her off. So
like burning, like getting your bangs burnt or something.
Right, like I'm going to wake up and there's going to be like a singe mark or something. I don't know.
Who is your favorite guest? You guys have guest hosts all the time. Who's been your favorite guest host?
Well, we have him coming back, my beloved Tim Gunn.
Oh, he's the best.
He is the best, especially because we can get him going, and he's going to be on our Oscar special. And Nene gets him going like nothing even, and he's like, He just cracks you up. He'll be like, "That's vulgar" about someone's dress.
Yeah, he doesn't hold back at all.
No, and it just makes me laugh because he just gets so wound up.
Yeah.
And he's such a nice man, and he's so funny, and he actually gets to be funny on our show, which he doesn't really get to do when he's being the serious academic, on
which
on
fits
Project
him
Runway.
suits him so well.
Yes.
Tim Gunn has been really vocal within the fashion industry about a need for more diversity and a more inclusive industry. What are you? We were just off of New York Fashion Week, which I know you were there. You were here.
I wasn't here.
You weren't here. You were watching from behind the scenes. But
yeah, my iPad, super behind the scenes.
Me too. I covered a fashion show from the couch.
I get invited to nothing. I didn't see one invitation for me to come to Fashion Week. I'm on my iPad just like everybody else, going, "Ooh."
I know. I always say I cover the Oscars and New York Fashion Week from like my bed with cat hair covered sweatpants, and I'm like, I'm an authority, for sure. But he has been really vocal. A big issue that came up at New York Fashion Week was the notion of diversity. There were more plus size models on the runway. There was a lot of racial and age diversity. What are your thoughts on inclusivity in the industry?
I mean, I think it's great. I'm a big fan of that. What we're seeing on the runways, we then can immediately get in the stores. That people are, the designers in the fashion industry are realizing that it's not how it was, where women would go and order their wardrobes months in advance.
Yeah.
I think the diversity is great, but everyone, all these fashion shows and all of that, they originally started with these models weren't famous.
Right.
It wasn't about the models. They were just very tall, thin girls that wore clothes well, and they were almost supposed to disappear.
Right.
But now it's become more about the model than the clothes.
It's more celebrity.
It's more celebrity driven. So I think it's great that there's diverse. I think there's just so much focus on it. Again, I just want to look at the clothes.
Absolutely. What is one trend that you are over right now?
Oh God. Well, I look really crappy with big shoulders.
Okay,
And, like,
our
the puffy
big shoulder. I
puffy-
really don't want big shoulders to be a
the
thing.
Big, like the puffies, that went away. That was good. I was glad that went away.
But it all comes back,
It
as
all
you know.
comes back. I'm kind of enjoying this little touch of like disco we're seeing.
Yeah.
Things I don't need to ever have come back. Well, because I can't. It's usually whatever you can't wear anymore. So I don't care if I never see another crop top because my crop top days are over.
Yeah.
They
I
are
don't know. I don't know.
Oh, no. I have a 16-year-old son.
That's true.
At one point, you go, my son's friends don't need to be learning biology from his mom. You know what I mean?
I don't know, though.
Give me the one piece. It's
Yeah.
time.
Okay, fine. Fair.
You
What's the best fashion advice you received from your mom?
Oh, easy. Good tailoring. You can take an inexpensive dress or outfit, and if it's well tailored, it's going to look expensive, and vice versa. You can take the most expensive piece of clothing in the world. If it is poorly tailored, it's going to look cheap.
And what fashion advice, if he's interested in it, have you passed along to Cooper?
Oh gosh, I don't know. You can't really tell your 16-year-old lacrosse playing surfer, what to wear. I mean,
Is he into fashion at all?
he is. They have a very distinct style. Like I'll be like, really, and he'll be like, yeah. Right now it's all about the joggers.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay. Like what am I supposed to say? Like
Gnarly, yeah.
Yeah, you're let's be honest, you're a white kid from a nice neighborhood. You got no street in you no matter what you wear. I'm sorry.
Fair
and
enough.
you go to a private school. You're tough. From the mean streets of Santa Monica.
Yeah. He's a scary guy.
Yeah, he's tough. But no, he keeps it pretty basic. The nice thing is he actually lets me I'll bring stuff home and he'll actually like it. Like I got him a really cool bomber from H&M.
There we go.
And he loved it. They're all very into like
I mean, it's in his blood.
but they're very into like Topshop and Zara Man and H&M and he does a lot of like Billabong. I mean, he's a pretty basic guy.
Got it. All right.
Vans.
Vans are forever.
Yeah.
You recently auctioned off some of your mom's eclectic wardrobe.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if there's anything that you were like, I'm absolutely not giving this away. And what are some of your favorite pieces of hers that you still have?
Oh, there is lots of stuff I kept. And
course.
people would be kind of surprised at the things. Like, I kept her travel sweater. Like she had 2 black travel sweaters that she always wore, and one of them I think I got for her years ago. Because whenever I would see a long black cardigan, I'd buy it.
Yeah.
Because that's all she ever wore. So, you know, I'm obviously not going to auction that off. I've kept a lot of the archival gowns. I've kept, you know, a sort of a sampling of stuff because very often these things are asked to be used in exhibitions. A lot of the designers I offered, if they wanted to put these things in their archives, that they would be available to them. But there, you know, the big joke was, you know, you don't, you know, for, you know, when it's a wealthy person, they call it collecting. When you're a poor person, they call it hoarding.
Right.
You know. So she was, you know, a bit of a hoarder like that.
Yeah. I prefer the term collecting as well, even though
things were archival. No, they're just old.
Right.
No.
But they come back.
Yeah.
Just like big shoulders, they it all
Rich
comes
people
back.
hoarding. That was like the whole thing. Everyone's like, where'd you get so much stuff? I'm like, hoarder.
Yeah. I think we're going to open it up to some audience questions.
Hey, Melissa.
Hi.
So I was wondering, do you ever get responses or feedback after the show from the actors or designers to see what was good?
Well, first of all, it turns out we're a lot of designers' sort of guilty pleasure. Like Michael Kors came out and said that. Like the designers actually do watch, which cracks me up. Yes, we do. Most of it is positive. If it's not positive, what you know, my mom and I always used to say, when you're making $20 million a year and everyone's giving you free clothes and you're changing your clothes 17 times a day and we don't like one of the free outfits, you need to take a deep breath. Yeah. Just relax a minute. You know, you weren't
Still doing okay.
Yeah, you weren't up all night sewing the curtains and making it into a dress, Miss Scarlett. You know what I mean? Take a deep breath. We're talking about fashion. This is not, like I always say, if any of us could be neurosurgeons, we would be.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a reason we're in this.
There's a
industry.
reason we're in this business. Like, let's all take a deep breath. None of us are saving the world.
Yeah. Another question?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
I love clothes.
I can
what you-
see.
Thank
Look
you.
at
I
you.
dressed for
Good
you
you look.
today.
I love that.
Thank you. Best top shop.
Yep. Are the pants though? Do they breathe?
They're a little bit hot on the waistband, but
Okay.
they're pretty good. Yeah, they're comfortable. One of the girls asked me, "Do they hurt when you walk?" And I said, "No, they're great." And
Well, it's nice. It's like you're doing like you could put on like a reducing cream underneath and walk around all day. Shop and reduce.
Totally.
Shopping and shopping.
I think we're going to take a trip to Topshop after
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
You haven't seen the scarf. I was just curious because it took me quite a while in life to establish a style. They get given dresses, they pay for dresses, they're paid to wear them. Do they still say, I like that, I don't like that, I want to wear that, I don't want to wear that?
You can always see when a collaboration is working. Because, you know, I always say you can see when the woman is wearing the dress or the dress is wearing the woman. I mean, and some of these, I mean, you look at Jennifer Lawrence and Dior. It's a beautiful combination. It works. You know, Natalie Portman, they do know, and you know when there's a good relationship with a stylist and a designer and an actress. You can see when it works. Absolutely, they have opinions. You know, unlike me, who if someone sends me something for free, I go, thank you, and put it on, whether it looks like, you know, crap or not. But yeah, no, you can see, I mean, you can honestly see when it works. And you can see when someone is uncomfortable in their dress or their clothing.
Which changes everything, right? I mean, like, you could be wearing something that maybe I don't really like that much, but if you're wearing it with confidence and swagger and you love it, it changes things a little bit.
Well, anyone else in the dress that Nicole Kidman wore to the SAG Awards with the birds would have looked ridiculous.
I loved that dress on her.
On her, it became a piece of art and a statement and a moment. Because she wore it.
She went on my best dress list, and everybody was like,
everybody.
Are you sure? And I was like, absolutely positive.
That was like a fashion moment. On anyone else, you would have been like, you know, probably want a SAG award, you know.
And if you haven't seen this dress, you should
some
look it up.
feed.
It's like stunning Gucci green number with
literally
bird heads coming out of the shoulders.
I mean, and anyone else, it would have looked ridiculous. But again, it's a great collaboration. It works on her.
Do we have one more?
Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to know if there's any specific celebrities that you anticipate seeing what they wear.
Oh, well, this year on Sunday, it's like, you know, an all-star parade. When the awards or the nominees are announced, the first thing I look at before I really concentrate on who's in what category, I see how many of like our fashion girls have gotten nominated. And this year, it's like every category is chock full of them. And you're gonna hit Nicole Kidman again. It's gonna be amazing. You've got Natalie Portman. You've got Emma Stone. You've got this one. I mean, it's gonna be crazy good.
Yeah. Not for nothing, Meryl Streep has been turning it out recently.
Yeah. Again,
saying.
we don't look to her for like a fashion moment. Right. We look to her to look good.
Right.
Where, I want to see what Nicole Kidman's going to show up in. I want to see
Emma Stone do
I
something
want to see Emma
wild.
Haley Steinfeld, who is going to be there, who has been just rocking it all season. Yeah. So it's going to be a star-studded extravaganza as far as I'm concerned.
There you go. You remind everybody when they can watch Fashion Police?
Fashion Police will be on Monday at 8.
On E?
On E.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us,
you.
Melissa. Thank you guys for being
Thank
here.
you.